Welcome to the Project Exodus podcast series on OFM podcasts. Join us weekly as we explore critical topics on addiction and recovery through insightful discussions, heartfelt interviews, and practical Q&A sessions with members of the Project Exodus team and community. Project Exodus is dedicated to making expert recovery interventions accessible to all communities. Through this podcast series, our hope is that understanding and support for those on the path to recovery will be enhanced. Whether you're personally recovering, supporting someone else, or just curious, join us in building a community of awareness, compassion, and hope.
Welcome to the Project Exodus podcast series. Today we've got Lolo with us and Renier joining us again. Thank you, Renier. He's from iGrow and he joined us previously on the podcast. And then we've got Lolo here who's working in Project Exodus, just being an amazing asset to the team here. And so today we're going to be discussing some questions from our community around the recovery journey. So we've sent out a poll and we got some responses. And so today we're just going to be discussing that and answering those questions.
Thank you, Gerhardus.
Cool.
Thank you for having us.
That's awesome.
It's a privilege and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks, Lolo.
absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And I'm looking forward to having an amazing session.
Cool. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
All right. So our first question is, what are the reasons for having a recovery coach? So would you guys think about that?
Wow.
Why should
I
someone have a
think-
recovery coach?
I think there's multiple reasons. Don't you agree, Lolo?
Absolutely.
Multiple reasons for having that. But yeah, we all run into problems, right? We all need guidance. That's the first thing. Guidance in terms of what goals to set, what to expect of my recovery journey. Am I on track with my journey? Where am I in this process? And I'm experiencing some problems here. Is this normal? Where can I go? My coach is not someone who can fix me. That I have to understand. But I need those guidelines and where he can connect me to professional people where that's part of my journey as well. And you know, just adding on to that is this a realistic goal I'm setting myself in my recovery? Is this really what it's all about? How do I work this program? We have a lot of questions in recovery. You know, when I look at my own journey, you're full of questions because addiction was the only way you knew how, and now what? And moving my mindset from all the hows and all those things to actually how now.
Yeah.
I think you can help me with those how now questions in terms of moving forward.
Absolutely correct. I mean, having a recovery coach, it's about having somebody who has in-depth experience, not only in the field and the study of recovery and addiction recovery more specifically, right? But having somebody who has walked that journey personally themselves, right? I mean, if you want to have somebody who's going to guide you, right, in hiking, you want somebody that has walked that journey. They know exactly what to expect, you know? This is somebody that can prevent you from having these pitfalls and tripping over, you know, simply by also introducing you to a program. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why you would want to have a recovery coach, because he's got something that is lined out for you to say, this is the journey that we're going to be taking. And the beautiful thing is it is tailor-made for you. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
That's wonderful, yes. I've got my own, in addiction, there's my own personal storm. If you look at addiction as your own personal storm that you're in. And how do I navigate that storm with my coach? Because it's my journey now. I agree with you.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we all face all sorts of different, you know, challenges in our lives. And, you know, having somebody that I can always refer back to, you know, and having a sit down with this individual and unpacking things, you know, and I'm not talking necessarily with my partner or my friend or somebody that knows me personally to that level, but somebody who's going to be neutral, you know, Somebody's,
Right.
somebody who will be able to call
Yes.
it as it is.
Yeah.
As it is.
You know?
Yeah.
I think
Giving
that's
that
something that's
direct
absolutely
truth, yeah.
important to
That's
have.
very true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Someone that actually asked me, what about you, and not all the other things around me. The question always is, what about you, and what do you think?
Sure.
Helping you finding your own answers,
Right.
Yeah.
and not just hitting you with a book roll over the head.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Giving you
Yeah.
a chance to figure out your own answers
Yeah.
as you go through your journey. Yeah.
That's very true.
And a recovery coach actually makes your recovery a discovery.
Sure.
That's the beautiful part of having a recovery
That's
coach.
awesome. Yeah, I love that. So cool. Just finding that individual journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Mm.
Cool. Thank you, guys. All right. The next question we have, I think, Lolo, you can answer this one. Is there a 24-hour Project Exodus WhatsApp call-in line number when someone is struggling or they're going through cravings or temptations, triggers? Is there a way they can contact or phone or WhatsApp a number that's available 24 hours?
Right. So we do have a WhatsApp line, right, for queries to come in.
Okay.
Now, when I'm talking about queries, I'm going to start off and say this is a line that a person can call if they're in a situation, whether if a loved one, is in addiction, or perhaps they want to understand what addiction is, right? Because they're seeing it happening in their own homes. They can contact us and just let us know and say, look, I've got a certain situation. I don't know if this is it. If what I'm seeing is correct, please do, give me more information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, there is one for that. If a person wants to reach out as well and say, look, I know I'm in addiction, and I need help.
Right.
I need healing. I need restoration. There's a line that is available for that. However, it is not 24 hours as yet.
Okay.
It is a work in progress. We're trying to navigate our way into extending it and allowing, access to this kind of information and help on a 24-hour basis, because I really do believe that it is our right. And obviously, addiction doesn't have a sleeping time.
Yes.
It doesn't
True,
have a
true.
break
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
Definitely.
we understand, and we definitely working on
Okay, cool.
getting into.
All right. And if someone were to contact that number, like what time frame is it? Is it online?
All right.
Normally?
So look, you can send a message, at any point in time. Let it be 2 a.m. in the morning, let it be 4 a.m. in the morning, let it be in the afternoon. The messages do come through.
Yes.
And our dedicated staff, our absolutely phenomenal team gets on top of it first thing each and every single morning.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Right.
So we have an amazing inquiries team.
Right.
All right. And a portal that we also work that actually gets allocated to the different departments.
Right.
All right. So remember, it's not only just a person who's seeking recovery, but it's also people who are also seeking and having to go through a personal development program.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
themselves.
Very
How
important.
do I now move on to the next level?
Yes. Yes.
Of my journey. All right. And we're also available for a department where guys are seeking to live in a community
Yes.
of people who are already in recovery. So there's different, I would say, segments of it,
Yes.
and it gets allocated to the relevant people.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Cool. That's awesome. Thanks, Lolo.
Yeah.
All right. The next question we have here is, how does one deal with setbacks in the recovery journey? What do you guys
I think a
about
setback is quite a very, very relevant question.
that?
As I say, we all have our different storms that we go through, and the world doesn't change out there while you are changing. So it's quite a challenging journey. Not that you have to have a setback. It's not what I'm saying, but I mean, a setback is always there. It's a possibility. If you do have a setback, never give up. Never give up. It's not about the fall. It's about getting up there.
Yeah.
And how do I learn from this? Contact your coach, reach out, work a program. Work your program, trust the process of the program. Different things accompany a setback. Start to analyze those things with your coach. What led to that setback?
Right.
Why did I just walk into the stadium without seeing the whole stadium? Or what can I do to avoid those things? Those kind of, whether it's been triggers being involved there, whether it's handling certain situations better, just reach out and say, don't give up there, because that's all a learning curve. And we all have a luck generator. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. The more you pitch up, the luckier you get, making contact with the right people, the right place, at the right time, and your setbacks will actually learn you something.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lolo?
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I would always say that the first thing one needs to do is to reach out. You know, I don't want to stay in this thing. I don't want to, be trapped and be held hostage by this thing. So by reaching out, I allow myself an opportunity to get somebody to be able to step into it. Not only speak life into it, but to be able to carry me and walk me back into the light.
Absolutely agree. Because once we have a setback, we think that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough. That actually makes you good enough. It's, people asking for help are not the people giving up. It's the people that refuse to give up.
Sure.
That's actually what asking for help is.
That's awesome.
And being willing to learn from everything. That willingness is one of the main pillars of recovery. And being open-minded, of course, but being honest and just showing integrity. We all walk around. I walked around in my journey with a lot of defensiveness and thinking that, no, I can't tell this one that and that one that. And actually, I just had to let go of my little triangle I was playing the whole time, thinking that people will think less of me when I have a setback. And actually, the more I pitched up after a setback, whatever kind of setback there is, different kinds of setbacks there is. And also realizing that you do go through certain stages in recovery. They are not, some of them are not really setbacks. It's actually a natural stage that you go through. Don't interpret it as a setback when it's really not. You feel like a setback, but actually you're just feeling, I'm not really making progress here. Let's just define what is a setback for us. Is it what it is?
That's good.
It's an absolutely important aspect. I mean, from my point of view, how I actually view it, I mean, falling down is not necessarily failure, right? Especially in recovery, right? But the inability to stand up, is what I would define as one failing at it.
Very good,
It's like a baby. There's different stages of growth, and a baby just doesn't run immediately. You crawl, you walk. You fall here and there. You ride your first bike. And you fall off your bike from time to time. And you have your daddy that's there. You got your support that is there as well. So the guilt and shame, yes, I mean it hit me multiple times every time when I had a setback. It hit me multiple times. But it actually got so much worse when I neglected to own and take responsibility for it.
Sure.
Because the beautiful thing about recovery is that I have 100% ownership of my own recovery.
That's true.
Right? So if I fall back, naturally, yes, I'll feel the guilt. I'll feel the shame. I'll think, what are they going to think if I do this? I mean, what are they going to think at work? What's my wife going to think? What are my kids going to think? But eventually, when I bring it back to the sensible me, say, but I need to go out and reach out for help. Right. And you mentioned having to have a recovery coach. Look, I'm not saying that a recovery coach is a guy that's there, waiting for you to call him after you have a setback, But this is a person that eventually sits down with you and we start unpacking it. So we can actually see how it got to that point. And what can we do to prevent that from happening again. So it's more of a learning curve than anything else. It's not failure. It's not all hope is lost.
And also plugging into that community on a regular basis where people can see this is imminent and keep you on the right path.
Very cool.
I was frequently warned that I shouldn't think that this is Neverland. I'll never land there. That's Neverland. I'll never have a setback, or I'll never have some partners that can really keep you on the road so that you don't end up in Neverland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Help you with the process. See what's coming.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You've got your perspective on your journey. Some other people have a different perspective. Plug in there.
Oh, beautiful. I actually love that because it embodies the importance of community.
Yeah.
Oh, so
You know?
much. Yes.
Yeah.
It really does embody like the importance of community because when I think about it, even in active addiction, I belonged to a community.
Yeah.
You know, I belonged to a community of people that were in that cycle of addiction, you know, in the culture of addiction, you know. So now having to move out of that and get into recovery, being in that community is equally important because I'm around people that understand what I'm going through. They understand my challenges. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's not as simple as me having to be alone in this and I have this setback and I'm around people that don't understand what's going on and being ridiculed or you know, being cast out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm with people that will embrace me. You know?
Oh, so very true.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it a little while ago.
Yeah.
About, you know, whenever we invite someone to a community,
Yeah.
and one of the things that goes with the culture of addiction, as you mentioned, was that isolation and that not reaching out thing, and the secrecy behind it, all those other things going there. But there's cravings in there. But what about that one major craving that we all have, and that is for meaningful connection?
Absolutely.
That meaningful connection craving we all have, use that to your advantage and plug into that community and speak the language there. Guys, the recovery language in that recovery culture is just something that is contagious.
Yeah.
It's really contagious.
So cool.
And that's where you get that acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, finding a voice for yourself in that community helps you with handling the setbacks as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
And obviously not dwelling within the setback itself because
Yes.
look, all the setbacks I've had, you know, are just a point of reference. You know, not a point of residence.
Right.
You know, I am not a result of my mistakes. I'm not defined by the mistakes that I've made.
Absolutely not.
So much more to me than what happened in the past. And that's what's so beautiful about having to have a life recovery plan. And I think we'll go into that a little bit later. But the beauty of having a life recovery plan is forward thinking. What do I want with my life? I'm able to sit down and almost quantify and predict where things may go wrong. And should they go wrong, what plans of action do I put in place?
Yes. With whom?
With whom?
Yes,
As
I
well.
love that. I absolutely love that.
With
Yeah.
whom? You know, so it's quite an amazing journey.
Yeah.
You know, and an experience as a whole. I mean, look, I'm a couple of years in recovery now, but you know, at the very same time, if I can say there's levels to it. In the beginning, it was as simple as me trying to stay away from my drug of choice.
Yes.
You know, and of course, a couple of days of detox, my body no longer depended on it. A couple of more weeks doing a program, and eventually a year went by, 2 years went by. But the more time started passing by, the more I had to start digging deeper.
Yeah.
Deeper,
You know,
yeah.
and we got something that we call an iceberg model. You know, where initially we focus on what's happening at the top.
Yeah.
But as you go deeper in your recovery, you start going beneath the surface. You know, start digging deep. These maladaptive mechanisms that start coming into play. You know, what actually makes me tick? I start unpacking these things. It's quite a phenomenal thing. Where not so long ago, I had an experience where I had to start unpacking traumatic events that happened in my past a long time ago. Believe it or not, I had shut it out of my mind. It was right there, way back in my subconscious mind. But when it happened that day, it was like fresh. It was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this. So the process is not merely just a matter of saying, look, I don't use drugs anymore.
Yeah.
I'm good. But it's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So recovery is about. I totally agree with what you say. It's like paying attention to every little thing underneath. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. We do what we do. But there's always a list of people when that little flag comes up in that journey that your facilitator or your coach is able to send you to. And so listen, this is bothering me, or I can spot that something is bothering you. Would you mind speaking to this person? To have a referral base within the community. And therefore, it's so nice that in various groups there are people with different skill sets and that also plug into that community. It's nice to be able to have those people adding on to what we do.
Absolutely.
Referring into their space.
Absolutely. Strengthening your accountability. You know, that's something that I did. You know, I strengthened my accountability. You know, I ship and change and try to evolve my wise counsel. You know, perhaps reevaluate and see how that goes. You know, I start having more sessions with my recovery coach so I can start unpacking these things that led to that event of me having to have the setback. You know, so it's just merely having to revisit the life recovery plan, which is a living document, by the way, right? So it is bound to change. You know, the more I grow in my recovery, the more the environment around me changes, as well as Lolo, you know, as an individual changes, and I start developing and growing, experiences change, my goals change, some are accomplished, you know, some start shifting out. So, I mean, all these things are absolutely important. I know if I had to have a setback, something has to change. I go back to my life recovery plan and I look at it.
Yeah, as long as you don't lose your momentum, that should not sidetrack you. Keep building on the good momentum you've been building for so long. Once a thing starts building momentum in a positive direction, keep that momentum. The little bit of mud it can pick up along the way is handleable. Just work into that momentum that you've already built.
That actually leads us to the next question, which is, how do you maintain your recovery? So how do you maintain that momentum? Like maybe for you guys personally, what has been something that you've been implementing that is enabling you to maintain and continue to grow your recovery?
I think I'll add on to what Lola just said. That life recovery plan is crucial. It's not only the big vision, but it's breaking it down into the small promises you can make yourself that you can keep. The very start of it. Those little small steps that you can keep. And nobody's looking for perfection, but you're looking for constant movement, positive momentum that you're building in that direction. In order to reach your daily goals, your weekly goals. And that's what a coach is for. And your accountability partners, keeping you on that road. That's the importance of that life recovery plan. And having a vision, breaking it down, keeping the positive momentum in small steps.
Brilliant. What do you think, Lola?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's absolutely correct. You know, of course, there's the life recovery plan, which is a living document, something that's going to change as you develop and grow and evolve in your recovery. And there's something I also wanted to kind of put in the same breath. I wanted to put it in that perspective. We got what we call a personal development program, right? So it doesn't only stop at the life recovery plan. Remember, addiction is multifaceted, right? It's many things. I mean, people call it, you know, some say it's a sin, some say it's a disease, some call it whatever it is, but it's multifaceted, right? So we want to be able to start engaging within the processes that provide me with the necessary tools that I need for each category of what makes me a whole being. So there's my spiritual aspect, there is my physical aspect, you know, there is now my intellectual aspect, which means I need to gain knowledge. I need to understand what it is that I'm dealing with here. So regardless of the fact, yes, I have a recovery coach, I've got wise counsel, I've got my accountability, but do I have access to the material for me to understand what addiction is? Number two, how to navigate recovery. You know, I need to start understanding things like how to mind my thinking, think about my thinking.
Mapping my mind.
Mapping my mind.
Doing that correctly.
Absolutely. So within a personal development program, then you get to a point outside of having to do your step work, right? Then you have your Exodus Recovery Skills Program. This is where you have access to 12 phenomenal comprehensive modules.
Where
right?
you can actually really deep dive if you want
Yeah.
into those things.
Absolutely. You like, I mean, you get in there, man, and get a proper understanding and start getting the tools, right? Because remember what we spoke about earlier, right? Your recovery coach is not walking the journey for you. He's walking it with you.
Yeah,
Your recovery
definitely.
is your
Definitely.
responsibility.
Yeah.
My recovery is my responsibility. So I need to equip myself with the necessary knowledge and the tools for me to be able to walk this journey successfully.
Absolutely, because knowledge is really the first part of change.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Very good. Cool. So we're running out of time for today. So there's one more question, and then we'll wrap up. So, is recovery possible? Is recovery really possible?
Absolutely. There's only one word. There's always hope. There's always light. There's always grace. There's always forgiveness. You know what? I've found in recovery more gifts than I've ever thought I would receive in my whole life. It is such an exhilarating journey of discovery, and it's absolutely possible. It's absolutely possible if you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's something you have to work on. If it takes time healing a broken leg, it takes time healing a broken life.
Yeah.
Or those around you. They also need the healing, but yes, it's more than possible. If you plug into the right community, arm yourself with the right knowledge, and is working, and if you're working that program, and you put in your effort, it's like I said in the previous episode, is one of the episodes, is that a tree is that one little seed that made a stand. And you keep growing and you keep growing, and the reward is in bearing the fruit.
Very good.
In the right soil, you will grow.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's
Lolo, what do you
absolutely
think?
true. Of course, recovery is possible. And you know, as we're speaking here, it just reminds me of a particular story in the Bible where God gives Moses the task to lead the Israelites from slavery, right, into the promised land, right? And what now we know would be a journey, an 8-day journey. It took them about 40 years in the wilderness, right? And then upon getting on that hill, right, 12 guys get sent, spies, to go into this promised land and go really check it out and see what's really there. And of course, they see the milk and they see the honey, and you know, it's all good. But when they come back and they give a report and they say, but there's giants there. I mean, we can't do this. We cannot do this, you know? But then again, it says in the Lord's word, it says, but look, you are going to enter this land and you are going to dispossess these giants of this land, right? So when I bring it back to my recovery journey, yes, there's the fruits of recovery. There is the gift of recovery. But it is also going to require me to put in the work. Yeah. Because as much as we step into the promised land, we dispossess the giants, we still need to plow those fields. Yeah. We still need to plant seeds. We still need to work that land so it can keep producing good.
Yes, and we to add on to what you're saying there, we serve such a mighty, indescribably big God that, you know, when we sow into what we have at that moment in our journey, He will not only multiply it, He will really multiply it. Yeah. So keep sowing as you grow into more and more. Brilliant. At that, be faithful to the season that you are in, and sow into that season.
Yeah, very good.
Of your journey, and that will multiply.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining today, guys, and just sharing your experiences. So Renier, you run the I Grow in Bloemfontein. So I just want to quickly just let the guys know, how can they get in contact with you to find a group in your area?
Yes, I think as Lolo said, go to the Project Exodus website. That would be the first stop. Or search for I Grow on Facebook or Instagram. Make contact there. And I think if you want to know more, the first thing is just make contact.
Yeah.
There's a group locator on there. Various kinds of people can make contact, not only if you have an addiction or even if you are a supporter. That's very, very important, make contact.
Cool.
I think, in my experience, the people that need the most help out there, just in my experience, is actually the supporters around the guy that doesn't always want the help. Make contact yourself, because knowledge is the first level of change, and from there on we can help and empower you. Definitely. Our vision is not only to serve, but to teach and to train and to enable and empower people. In Bloemfontein, we have 4 groups running. Just make contact with iGrow in Bloemfontein on Facebook or through the Project Exodus website.
Cool. Brilliant.
And from there on, I can always guide you to where to meet and
all right. Cool.
Do the process. Yes, nice. Thank you.
That's brilliant. So so you guys heard it here. So www.projectexodus.net to find out any information about iGrow in Bloemfontein or any other Project Exodus groups in the country. And please do share this podcast episode with anyone that you feel might benefit from what we discussed today. And we'll see you again next week.